93.3 CFMU, back listening to iHeart Hamilton. Before the break, that was two artists again you're going to see here in Hamilton next Wednesday, June 19th. That was Lacey Hill with Lovin' You off of her album M at 528 Volume 2. And before that, Logan Stats with Fear of the Flame. So again, catch them as part of Hamilton Arts Week next Wednesday, June 19th at New Vision United Church, the Music Hall, down on Main Street. So I'm going to play another track now before we get into our first guest. Actually, you know what? I didn't even say who our guests were on the show today. I just got right into it. So coming up, we're going to be chatting with Mohamed about his new EP, 18 Years Young. And we've got, he's also part of the Hamilton Youth Poets. We got Mo in the building from Hype as well. And we're also going to be chatting with the producer that worked on 18 Years Young. And we got Samson back in studio as well, chatting about a new studio and music making summer camp he's got going on. So lots to talk about. Of course, some of Gizzy's music as well coming up in just a little bit. First, I'm going to go back to June's playlist, which I mentioned is just up on the blog now at iHeartHamilton.ca. We're going to hear a brand new track from Persons off of their latest 7-inch. This is Airborne here on CFMU. 93.3 CFMU, back listening to iHeart Hamilton. That was brand new one from Persons there called Airborne off of their 7-inch. Two tracks they recently released. Definitely check those out if you have not yet. And we're speaking now with Gizzy Mohamed and a cool connection. I had Jackson from Persons on the show a couple months ago talking about Personal Touch vinyl, and he actually put together vinyl for Gizzy here. So we got them on the show. This is a cool connection. Love how that works. Hey guys, so we got Samson, we got John, we got Mo's filming behind the scenes.
Hello.
And we got Gizzy. Hey guys.
Yeah. How are you? How are you doing today?
Good to have you guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, good to have you. Samson's back. Last time you were here, we actually we got treated to lasagna, didn't we? Yeah, it's like I booked two guests, and you never know like how it's gonna pair up. This one worked well. Yeah. But we had a Mama Yolanda's lasagna guy, and he actually brought lasagna.
You know, I actually spoke about that with my mom. We got it for a month after that.
So yeah, it was a lot. Yeah. That's cool. You never know who will show up here at CFMU. That's awesome.
No, definitely.
Yeah. So it's awesome. Gizzy, we'll hear some tracks in a minute, but it's good to have you here on the show. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I met you through the Hamilton Youth Poets, which Hype. So how long have you been working with Hype?
I mean, I started working with them through my high school poetry team.
That's right.
Back in grade 10, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wasn't too involved back then, but now I'm like full swing.
Yeah.
Always popping into the office, seeing what they're doing with their events and things like that. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So you go to Cathedral, or you're just finishing now, I guess?
I just finished last week.
Congrats.
Graduated.
Yeah. That's awesome. And are you from Hamilton originally? Yeah.
Born actually in Cairo, Egypt.
Yeah.
But I'm from South Sudan. I moved to Hamilton when I was 4, back in 2004. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and it's awesome. It's great hearing about like all the music that's coming out of Hamilton, particularly in high school. That was something Samson and I talked about too. Like there's so many young musicians in the city that are, up and coming that you wouldn't hear about, because you're still so young in school. So definitely a program like Hype. It's a great way to like kind of get your music out there. And did you find like lots of musicians like in your classes and stuff, like connecting with other people who are creating music too?
I mean, with Hype and poetry specifically, like being young, when I was younger, I thought poetry was such an adult thing to do.
Yeah.
And then like I joined the high school poetry team, and then I noticed these are like some really awesome writers and performers. And then through Hype as well, I met a lot of younger students or kids who are also into it, and like they're super talented with their music and poetry.
Yeah, that's cool. And was music always part of your life since you were young?
I mean, I grew up playing sports, but it really came in when I got to high school, and I joined like my glee club.
Oh yeah.
And I started writing music with friend Johnson here. Who produces my music now. Yeah. But music kind of stepped into my life. Same time I was doing my teenage years.
Yeah. That's right. And Johnson, did you meet at school, in high school as well? Or?
I actually met him way back in grade 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and
awesome.
Then we split ways due to moving and stuff, and then we came back in high school, and then that's when we all just popped off.
That's cool. Yeah, it's awesome that schools have now like Glee and like musical theater. Like I didn't have that in my school. Now it's like I feel like the show Glee kind of kicked it off, which I was a big fan of. But that was like 10 years ago. I remember that show premiered and I was watching it, and Yeah, so now it's
Yeah,
like in
that-
schools, you guys got the jackets,
Yeah.
the Glee jackets.
cool,
It's
it's
so
fun,
cool.
it's
Yeah, it's
fun, yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, and through Glee, like how does it work? You just everyone kind of like you can pitch what songs you want to do and kind of come together, and or you did original stuff as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like we have our Christmas shows, we
Yeah.
have our open mic nights, but throughout the year we prepare for like a really big competition.
Yeah.
Show Choir Canada. So
Yeah.
we go compete against
That's so cool.
schools across Canada and like the states, you know. So
Yeah.
but yeah, that's about it.
That's cool. I love Hamilton's on the map for all that.
Definitely.
That's cool. And so the EP you put out, that's just been a couple months now, 18 years young,
Yeah,
which is
18 years
awesome.
young.
Yeah. So when did you first get the idea to want to put some songs together for an album?
I mean, when I decided to take my writing or my music a bit more serious, around the same time I started doing poetry, I knew I wanted to do a really big project, but didn't know anything about doing projects in music or anything like that. At that time, I was just releasing like singles.
Yeah.
But I think it was around grade 10. Yeah, but I've been writing for 2-3 years since then, and then yeah.
That's cool, and it's awesome now. Like with the internet and there's so many like resources, it's easy to. I mean, it's not easy to make, but it's easy to access to put something out there, right? So that must and I guess like listening to so much music online too, that must have like helped seeing other people do it too, and just kind of anyone can put their stuff out there.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So when did you working with Johnson? What did you work on a track to start with, and then it led to more? Do you remember what you first worked on?
Well, we started first working on music in grade 9 because we both joined Glee.
Yeah.
And then like us being kids, we just like, let's make this little group, you know. So it was me, Gizzy, and 2 other people. We just started like releasing like songs and stuff, and then eventually, like this is cool. Like we could actually like this is fun, right? And eventually we started doing it, taking it more seriously.
Yeah.
I started learning more about my craft and my arts and whatever, and he started doing his things, and then eventually we just started pushing more content out.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, and then the album's here, and that's got to be so cool once you had those songs together and putting it out there, and here it is.
Yeah,
That must have been cool.
Like the end all product, I was super happy with. Super proud of us, like for us being our age, like doing something like that. Super dope to see, and you know.
That's cool. Yeah, and when you're creating does one come more naturally to you, like writing like rhymes versus or like rap versus poetry? Is one or the kind of two different creative outlets for you?
For me, yeah, I definitely think they're two different creative outlets. I think I have with poetry, the boundaries are very limited.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like with my writing, it's a lot more free verse, and I can write about anything, any way. But then with writing music and songs, I have a lot more structure and like a focus when I'm writing my music.
Yeah.
That's what helps you build like creativity though. You know, we learn in class like when you're limited to something and then you have to like fit that thing. Yeah, it helps you practice. It's a good practice.
Yeah, that challenge helps you kind of and it's like learning like the rules and the foundation and in order to like break them and do what you want. That's cool.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so Samson, you know these guys for a while now too. You've been working with a lot of young musicians
Yeah, I've
over your
known
time.
them for a little bit. I don't even actually remember how I actually got to know them. I think it was because
Yeah.
of their music, to be honest.
Yeah.
I believe they made a couple songs that they did. I know that Gizzy had this single he put out at the time called Sweet and Sour.
Yeah.
And one of their friends, Bush, had this one single he did a video for. I can't even remember the name.
She
honestly.
asked.
It was the one with the robe, right?
Yeah, and
that
then
one.
everyone just ended up telling me, like, I knew already about them as the artist, as the face of it, but everyone just kept telling me Johnson's the one who's being behind it. So I knew a friend of mine by the name of Kevin Rose, who was at the time in Cathedral, and he already kind of had a personal relationship with them. Kind of got connected with them, and that's kind of where I got to have at least my learning experience of what they're into and what everyone else, I guess, in their age group is.
That's cool. So. Yeah, because you've been like interested in like producing and working with young artists for quite a while now, right?
Absolutely.
So you've seen these people come up and release stuff. That must be a cool thing to see someone at the start and then where they go.
Definitely. It's especially when it catches you off guard, because you think that you have your finger on the pulse, and then when something just comes out of the left on the radar, like you didn't really see it coming, it just kind of lets you know, like, oh yeah, even if you're not on the pulse, or you just keep looking towards it, you're going to end up finding people because it's just going to attract back to you, just with the law of attraction of it.
Yeah, definitely. That's cool. And I feel like, we were talking about Hamilton's like hip hop scene last time, and it's still like very much under the radar. I feel like there's so many artists that I'm just still learning about. And so,
me as well.
Yeah.
When we first started, I thought we were the only ones really doing it.
Yeah.
But when we started going, like we started to find out about all these other artists and like Hamilton's hip hop scene.
Yeah.
Super dope. Dope.
Definitely a learning curve.
Yeah.
Definitely a learning curve.
That's right. Yeah, but it's great that it's so collaborative and it's easy to connect, and especially like online, it's easy to find what other people are working on. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
That makes it a lot easier now. Now it's just kind of the accessibility of, I guess, other things, whether it's putting together venues for shows and the people promoting the venues to understand as well who else is in the scene.
Yeah.
Instead of they're just collectives. I feel like, as it has been before, Hamilton's like a lot of little teams that all are trying to work towards their goal. But I feel like if some of the teams, at least certain members, mesh with it, like if it's someone else does party promoting here and party promoting here, like these two just get together and build their own party.
Yeah.
And then see how that kind of works out. Little things like that, I think that'll be what really helps. I think we just constantly forget that hip hop is entertainment.
Yeah.
And then we just like let it skip with just let's make songs.
Yeah. Is it hard to find like venues when you're trying to put on like live shows? Like
depending
yeah.
just for what people might expect out of a hip hop show.
Yeah.
More venues are actually like kind of tuning in a little bit better to it now. They're a lot more open to it. There was just recently a show that Foreign Waves International did for a local showcase with Tonic Nightclub. So I want to just give them a little shout out for the fact that they actually had us there. And they've also open to a discussion about doing like an all ages event as well, so that the younger artists could perform. So I just want to give them a little shout out. It's still in the talks, but I appreciate them for even being open to it.
Yeah, and that's important too. Like all ages shows, like I needed those too when I was younger, and I would always have to like wait for the all ages one, and I couldn't wait to turn 19 just to get in there. I'm like, I just want to get in there. But that's so important because you guys are like the foundation of the musicians to come. So it's important to have access, and getting like high school kids going out to shows like would be cool, even if it was like different maybe a bit earlier shows or just different ways of getting the kids out.
Absolutely.
To experience music in the city. Yeah.
Absolutely. Just those little things I think are what's going to be important, but things will change over time. I feel like we got a couple of years that will be safe. As long as we kind of just get started and take it slow, I think we'll get it right. Yeah, that's awesome. So why don't we hear a track now? We'll come back and chat some more. Why don't we hear a track off of 18 Years Young? Do you have a preference, Gizzy? I was going to do Free because we can talk about the music video after that. I'd love to hear Free.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Do your thing.
And I'll give a little bit of warning. There's a little bit of language in this song, so if you're blasting it and there's kids around, just be forewarned. It's hip hop. What are you gonna do? Can't avoid it. So we'll chat about this. This is off of Gizzy Mohamed's album 18 Years Young, which is available now, and we'll come back and chat some more here on CFMU.
Need to free them from those cells. Free them from themselves.
93.3 CFMU, back listening to iHeart Hamilton. That was Gizzy Mohamed there with Free off of 18 Years Young. We've got him here on the show, as well as the producer Johnson. We got Samson here. We got Mo here. Yeah. That's awesome. That's got to be cool hearing it on the speakers like that. That's
so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. We'll mention too. I mentioned earlier, you got it on vinyl now. You got a limited run, thanks to our buddy Jackson, a personal touch vinyl. So that's got to be cool. That was an awesome. Like to see it in a physical form has to be a cool thing. It's one thing to like put it out there, and then you're like, yeah, this is the album.
Yeah, with
that's
all
cool.
the processes of you go from writing,
then
music, writing. Put it on digital. Now you got it on vinyl. You got it in your hand. That's super dope.
Valuable.
That's really cool. Yeah. So are you selling copies? Do you have copies available? Or are they going like hotcakes?
There's only one original right now.
I got one. Yeah.
But I'm in talks with some people trying to figure out how to really get out there because it seems like a lot of people do want it.
Yeah,
want
for
their
sure.
own copy. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, vinyl's back. People want it. That's cool.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's cool. And the album art's all really cool too. What went into like the look of it and how you wanted to do that?
I mean, I have a really good team
of
people. So the photography was done by my very good friend and photographer Hillary Gold, and then all that other with the album art was done by my friend Kenneth Tran. Also goes to Cathedral High School.
Cool.
So we worked all together, me, him, and Johnson, in creating all that art for the album.
Yeah. That's cool. And the track we just heard, Free, you've got a video for that one as well. And that's
Yeah.
how, first time I met you actually was working with the Hamilton
Yeah,
Youth Poets, and
yeah.
you were filming that video. And that was a really cool day at Digital Canaries. And it was
Yeah.
like a really like legit film sets that you guys were on. So that was a cool part of the program, Black Poet Residency. So that was a part of the song that you produced for that program.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like filming a video and you're like doing
That
the lip sync thing?
Yeah, it's so different.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see it on TV and we're like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, have an idea of doing it, but like,
Yeah.
it's a full process. I mean, I didn't like filming just that video was a 12-hour process. We got there at like 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Didn't finish till like 6. It
Yeah.
was like super dope. But like being on set, seeing all the different techniques and actually putting together a film or video like that with lighting and
Yeah.
special effects, camera work, like camera technique, how you want to be on scene on camera and all that. Like it was a super dope experience.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, people can check it out now. It's on YouTube. People can find it free.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Do you want to do more of that? More videos? Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Along with like falling in love with music, I've been falling in love with film as well, and
yeah.
cinematography, things like that. So I definitely want to come out with a lot more visual things, like
Yeah.
videos and such. Yeah.
That's cool. When you're creating music, do you think of the visuals, like how it would look as a video? Did the images come to you, or?
I mean, for certain songs,
Yeah.
like the songs with like storylines and things
Yeah.
like that, I can kind of see it. And but with everything else, we're just vibing out.
Yeah,
with
that's
music.
awesome. Yeah, and videos are a big part of it. Sam, so we talked about all the groups you've worked with, and they've put out like tons of videos. Like the
Yeah,
last group,
absolutely.
Take Money Empire, were
Take
here,
Money
and
Empire just did
and
their
ju-
new one
even
that's
just looking
coming
on their YouTube, like so many videos. Like it's amazing, and that's another great avenue for getting your music out there.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
it's a really good medium just for the fact that now the entertainment of the visual aspect really helps out a lot. If the people can engage with just even seeing the video,
Yeah.
it helps you kind of get by with listening. Not a lot of people are really willing to sit down and let's say listen to your like 45-minute album.
Yeah.
Whereas now if you have a bunch of singles released at a time, they can decide after the end of the videos, like being entertained by the whole hour, like, oh, maybe I will check out his album.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives you the time to go for it. Now, I don't recommend like making every song a video,
Yeah.
but having
Yeah.
a lot of videos does help.
You're not Beyonce yet. Well, yeah.
Exactly.
You'll get there. Yeah. That's cool. And I guess you find a lot of people have found your music. Have you found people reach out to you not from Hamilton who have discovered your music through videos or?
Sometimes it
yeah.
actually does work like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a couple like Toronto acts that I've worked with that I've met through like them discovering the videos. It's kind of like it all depends on how many like degrees to separation there are. So it might be
Yeah.
like where JohnnySon will work with Gizzy and he does this entire project and the video goes out and someone sees Gizzy's video and says, yo, I really like your music, who happens to be your producer, and
Yeah.
just goes straight to JohnnySon. Whereas
Yeah.
somewhere else it might be like this A&R heard about you, so that's how you got with this artist, and that's too many degrees of separation for it to ever pull back to you.
Yeah.
So it's just dependent on your thing. So the way I always like to see the work being done is just whoever's connected and engaged with it to always just give the communication around. That kind of helps the network to keep going.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, and it is about the network. Like here in Hamilton, musicians are so supportive, and I guess within the hip hop community, especially too,
Yeah.
you guys have each other's backs, which is awesome to see. That's
Absolutely.
it. Yeah,
Absolutely. These guys are super talented. A lot of their
Yeah.
peers are super talented as well.
yeah,
It's just a matter of there being the change in paradigm of how we look at hip hop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then being able to open a lot more to the experimental people who are trying to do something now.
yeah. That's right. Yeah, and so now we'll mention also your studio, Sam. Since you've been here, you started your own studio space, and that's to help continue like paying it forward and working with young musicians.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We actually got it originally for Stanley, my business partner now. We got it just to work on his album.
Yeah,
And then he likes to work at night, and we decided it's kind of being wasted during the day. So at first, we kind of like reached out to a couple friends, and we're like, hey, if you guys want to use the spot, like, you want to pitch like $5 for the day, just come in, you can use the space. And then it kind of just started like snowballing the idea to the point where it is now, where there are people who can reach out to us directly and we can set them up with a session with an engineer, but it's not necessarily something that like I'll actually hands-on work with for anything like that. So like even we just really like listen to the people who would, I guess, be our quote unquote clients
Yeah.
and figure out what their need is, and then we just link them up with somebody that we happen to know. Whereas someone might come in and be like, hey, like I'm looking for production, but I also want to get like a demo done at the same time. We can say, hey, like Johnson happens to be around the area. We can link you up with Johnson within the week.
Yeah.
Set up the time. We'll take the payment from the client. He takes his pay cut. We don't really stress much about it. It's just more about trying to build onto the idea that there could be a central hub for a lot of these things, whether it's right now just music, but even with multimedia, graphic design, all these types of things. That's why I'm just out here really trying to figure out what other kids do, what other things, just make viable opportunities for them to actually get some type of income.
Yeah, because it could be intimidating. Like, you want to create something, you don't know where to go or how to go about it.
Yeah,
so,
and people also tend to perceive you based on like what your circumstances might be. Where a lot of these kids are super talented, but they're doing a lot of work from their basement. Now someone who comes into their basement looks at it like, oh, this is not the craziest thing in the world. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, I don't really think that this is worth the money that you say it is, or even the time, or that you're not actually at the skill level that you're at. I mean, this entire album that they made, they could tell you themselves, it was all done within the confinements of their own home.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Did you have to like go out and like figure out what gear to get? How do you? Yeah.
Yes. It took
Yeah.
every last dime on just getting equipment, and then once we got there, it was just like, this is it. Let's use this to our best ability, and we just kicked it off. And that's how we made this. We made this in my basement, like,
and that's amazing. When you listen to it, I mean, it's just as good as anything I've heard, on the radio or anything. I mean, it's amazing.
And it's also the environment too, right? Me, I don't really like using studios that often. I don't use it often either. But my basement, my home studio, is just a comfortable place to hang out.
Yeah.
It's a place where we be productive. We do anything in there: homework, music, learn everything. And it's the environment to me.
Yeah, so there's no pressure. It's just your space. And studios, you can be confined for money or time, or working with someone who maybe doesn't know what you want, your vision, but you guys know what you want to do. So that's awesome.
What makes everything sticky about it.
Yeah.
But these guys are super talented again, like we said. And I guess back to the question of the studio, it's just more so just a space that things can happen. Like we really have not much of a plan with it. The summer camp even itself is more so I happen to be blessed to be around a couple people who had their own ideas of it, and they kind of all pitched in. Like there's a guy named Felix Got Fire from Toronto who wrote his own textbook on audio production.
Oh, cool.
So he already gave me the textbook, and he said I'm allowed to use it to teach the program. There's a couple other producers who just already wanted to volunteer with youth. So it was just more so like, okay, if the kids are willing to come in, I'll try to set up the curriculum based on the textbook, and then get the volunteers in to teach specific things that they like to teach. And like, there's no planning whatsoever. It's really just trying to get kids in the space.
Yeah, that's awesome. So where can people get in touch with you if they want to?
They can get in touch with me on Instagram at Samson Has Those. But I would recommend, for the most part, they can get in touch with me through that. Like Instagram is usually my best means. But I'd say to at least try to get in touch with a lot of other people as well. Dependent, like with the space and the summer camp, there's a lot of other people who happen to know about the ideas. You'll happen to see the flyers everywhere now that I've actually had time to print them. I definitely would say to reach out to Johnson directly as well too. Just because with certain things like the studio stuff, I only know what's going on based on the schedule of like my peer group and what they're trying to do. So I would definitely recommend, if something you wanted was studio time, reach out to Johnson directly. Whether he's going to work out of his space or out of that space doesn't really matter, as long as the work is done. So,
for sure.
I believe Johnson's Instagram is JohnnySon.
No, Johnson.hang.
Johnson.hang.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, we'll link to these when we post the episode. And what's the name of the studio?
Neutral is what we decided to name it, to make it a neutral, safe space.
Well, that's awesome. That's really cool. And that's important. That's great that you're doing that. Yeah, you'll have to come back and share all the stuff you're working on.
Absolutely. Hopefully I have more stuff to work on by that
let's
time.
give it the first spin here. Yeah, that's awesome. And then Gizzy, what's next for you? Are you someone who's always kind of thinking ahead to the next thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah. We were saying you got to keep promoting free, but you're already like, I got more ideas.
I mean, this summer has a lot in store with it. I mean, I'm moving to Toronto to do school over there, performing arts. I got a scholarship out there.
Oh, amazing.
But always making sure to keep my music on the side as well.
Yeah.
This summer, a lot more music. I'm looking to work with actually a lot of a lot of more other artists from the city,
Yeah.
collaborating with them. Because as I've been growing, I've been, my knowledge of what the city has
Yeah.
grew as well, and I'm honestly inspired by these other artists, and I want to create. I want to get working
Yeah.
with these guys. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it'd be cool. Yeah, keeping those Hamilton roots, but then also branching off to the next thing, and you're going to learn so much there as well to
Yeah.
bring into the next chapter. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Johnson, anything coming up we should plug?
I think sometime next year I might move in with Gizmo. Right now I'm planning to work on my craft, practice, work, get some money so
Yeah.
I could support and build a little foundation, right? And then after that, like I said, I was gonna go to Toronto, maybe see what's out there for me.
Yeah.
And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna do the Samson Studio thing, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Anything, Samson, you want to plug coming up? We got.
I don't really have much business
Yeah.
plugs, but if there's any,
Yeah.
I guess just anyone in general who enjoys the ideas of the stuff
Yeah.
that we've spoken on, just to feel free to reach out to any one of us on any of
Yeah.
our social media, especially instrumentalists, anyone who happens to play instruments. I would like to
Yeah,
meet you.
Those
definitely.
are
I would
cool.
definitely like to
Yeah.
meet you.
Those are cool.
So
Yeah.
that would be something
Those
completely beneficial for a lot of work right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Yeah, well, thanks for being on the show. Thanks, Mo. He's filming behind the scenes. And yeah, definitely looking forward to everything you guys have coming up.
Perfect. Thank you
Keep-
so much.
keep it
Looking
going.
forward to you as well.
Yeah, so why don't we hear another track? Gizzy, do you have a preference of what else we hear
Let's
off the album?
let's play my In Love With You.
Awesome. Let's do it. Off of this is also off of 18 Years Young. Gizzy Mohamed, this is In Love With You on CFMU. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Thought I found someone different. I thought that I was tripping. That's what I said before. But who the hell I'm kidding?